I didn't think they were going to get this pissed off.
Just shut up and keep driving.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Inforunners Podcast. And today we have a very, very special episode here and a special guest.
That's right. Today we have Cameron Wilkie.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be on the stream.
It's good to have you.
Definitely.
Now, your job at CIG is, just for those who don't know.
Yeah, I'm the Events and Marketing Manager based out of Foundery 42 in the UK, in Wilmslow.
And where have you worked previously before?
A bit of a long story, but I'll try and keep it as brief and relevant as possible. For the past 20 years before joining CIG, I've worked around the world in hotels, restaurants, and resorts. So that's given me a lot of food and beverage operations, logistics experience, and events experience, as well as a bit of hands-on practicality with marketing.
Definitely a good set of skills there. And you're the one responsible for supporting and coordinating a lot of community events, especially like Bar Citizens. So what are your thoughts about the turnout at these events, as well as what are some of the more interesting things that you have seen in these?
I mean, Bar Citizen for me is very special. It's the fantastic culmination of the relationship between the development teams and the community. It was kicked off heartily a little over a year ago, back in March 2016, when CIG reached out to some of the backers and invited them to a Bar Citizen, which was going to be held in Frankfurt, LA, Austin, and Wilmslow. And there was such an overwhelming response to that there was very quickly a call for more. And at that point, the reins were handed over to the community. Although there had been meetups and things in the past, and the term Bar Citizen had already been around, this is where it was sort of taken over fully as a nomenclature for these events. And so a few months after that, I came on board to CIG back in August last year. And one of the first things I wanted to do, having come from the community and being aware of what was going on, was to bring a lot of the global community leaders together, work up a support network, get people working together, because there were already similar requests coming in from around the world, from Australia, from Canada, from the USA, from UK, Germany, Italy, France. And I wanted to get all these people together, so we set up a Discord channel at the time, which very quickly grew to 60 organizers, and I think is now closer to 100. And the Bar Citizen support network was set up. And shortly after that, I think it was Rico and Joran that set up the Bar Citizen SC website, which is an absolute go-to for what's coming up and things, and a contact for how to set up your own Bar Citizen. And a couple of hundred Bar Citizens later, here we are.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's one thing that I've been involved with over the last year. And otherwise, my main brief is to help make GamesCon and CitizenCon and other large-scale events be great examples of what we are as a project, our showcasing to the world, as well as running as smoothly as possible.
So, with the Bar Citizen events, and we actually met for the first time at Sydney Bar Citizen, which was earlier this year.
Yeah, so it's a pleasure to be at.
How does one actually get to these events? Obviously there's the website and the Discord, and I see they're advertised on Reddit on a regular basis. But how does one actually, if they want to run their own Bar Citizen, how do they set this up and get the ball rolling?
The easiest way is to jump into Spectrum, because in Spectrum you're going to get some very timely and easy resources. You'll find Joran will be on Spectrum in pretty much every channel every day. He's a great contact. I'm there most days, work permitting. and you'll see there's a meetups forum, and there's a Bar Citizen forum, as well as a chat channel. So any of these avenues on Spectrum are a great and easy way to get that initial pointer to where you might want to go for more information or who to contact. There'll be links there for different community organizations. So that's where I would point people to first. Have a look at the meetups thread and have a look at the Bar Citizen channel.
Definitely some good information there, being as these are great events. And at these events with the devs that come there, and you in particular, what is your favorite question that you've ever been asked at one of these events?
Yeah, I think my favorite question that I've been asked so far would be along the lines of how I'm going to disguise myself in the universe so that I don't look like staff. So it's a tricky one, because you never want to be seen as playing as staff and then killing people and blowing people up, and then they think, well, you've got all the resources. That's not fair. So I'm working on ways. I've got my own personal account that I always had as a backer, and I still am, of course, a backer and a subscriber. So I've got my missiles on my Polaris on that one. So we'll see.
Oh my! Just out of curiosity, what ships do you have?
Well, I started with a Connie. I think it's a fantastic way to start, because for me it represented an all-round ship, a ship where you could have some friends playing with you. It could go into combat and hold its own. It can carry some cargo. It can go exploring, land on planets, have a little buggy come out the back, have a little ship fly around. So it encompassed all the things that I thought I might want to do, rolled up into one great looking ship. So that I started with the Connie. I had the opportunity to buy an Idris, and so I did. And I absolutely loved the Polaris, so I pledged for a Polaris as well. I think I've picked up a Hornet and a Glaive and a few other things along the way, but yeah.
So how common is it for CIG staff to invest their own money into ships? You know, like, is that fairly common?
Very common. And actually, I think the best way to sum it up is to tell those watching a little inside story. So when the Polaris went on sale, it was known through those organizing, and it became known to the rest of the staff that there would be an opportunity to get serialized whole numbers, and these limited serial whole numbers would probably only be a few thousand in number. And so people were thinking, oh wow, what about number 42 and 1337 and all sorts of specific numbers came to mind, and people started putting in their request for what number they wanted. The number of staff wanting to choose their own serial number was so overwhelming that we had to veto the whole process for the staff. So I think that just goes to show that the number of staff that want to pledge for the project in a significant way became an issue, and I don't know any other project like that.
That's amazing how much the staff believe in the project and want to buy their own ships, their own product. It's really telling.
Yep. I think it's yes, like you said, a very telling example.
Your love of a project, and you mentioned CitizenCon as one of your responsibilities, and with these type of events, a lot of companies nowadays, when they do these conventions, are starting to go with a rise in digital passes. Blizzard does this with BlizzCon. Can we expect to see something like this in the future, especially with some of the swag that some of these passes come with?
It does remain an option, especially for next year. We are looking at the possibility of going bigger and grander. At the same time, what the core of our relationship with the community is, and one of the beauties of it is that personal interaction. So there's this almost a conflict between wanting to keep that personal relationship at these events and letting these events also encompass the community as a whole. And finding that balance can be difficult at times. If we have 5,000 people at an event, there's no practical way for them to all come up and meet Chris and Sandy and Aaron and Brian and everyone else that is there. If you do any form of maths on it, you'll realize that will take several days. So having the ticket for the event purchased through our website is easy and it makes sense. Having things added on to that ticket remains an option. So it could be that by purchasing a different ticket or an add-on to the ticket, you might be able to get a discount on some special t-shirt or hat or patch or something that was particular to that event and becomes a nice memento for you, even if you weren't able to attend the event, and other like things. So there's plenty of options there. For now, for this year at least, I'm focused on making sure that GamesCon and CitizenCon run well and smoothly and remain a great experience for everyone that's there and watching live and afterwards. So,
does CIG have an idea where they want to hold the GamesCon and CitizenCon like going into the future? Because at the moment we have a double whammy in Germany. Are they thinking of expanding out, perhaps places they haven't been before, or
like Adelaide or Sydney?
Well, I don't want to be too selfish.
Hey, I always appreciate the Australian community's candor and reminding me that there are great venues and opportunities to be had down there. So Gamescom remains a fantastic opportunity to showcase the project to the world, and I don't foresee any change in our presence there, apart from perhaps becoming bigger and better and telling the great story to more and more people. CitizenCon tends to move around, like there's no good reason to have it in the same location each year. And the locations that are best suited for what we do and having the least impact on the development of the project are locations that are well supported by a local office.
Mm-hmm.
If you do the maths on that, it's nice to look at locations that are elsewhere, but as soon as you look at the costs and the limited support, you quickly ask yourself, why go through all that pain, and why cause not trouble for the project, but cause extra work. So it's likely that CitizenCon 2018 will be supported by a local office, but the decision's not been made yet on where that will be.
Something for next year.
Yeah.
All right.
I'd like to be in a position to announce the location for 2018 this year, but there's a lot of other factors involved.
So currently, other than the GamesCon and CitizenCon, I should say, what other events do we have as fans to be looking forward to this year?
So many. Well, right now, if you haven't already, you should be signing up for Crux Cup. There's over 100 people who have entered Crux Cup already. So get your racing hat on and get signed up. You can go to cruxcup.com. And so that's a great online community-run event. And past Crux Cup, we've got now just off the top of my head, for any in Atlanta, you'll be wanting to go along to DragonCon on the 1st through 4th of September. There'll be some representatives of CIG attending that. The details yet to be fully confirmed, but keep your eyes posted. In Irving, just outside Dallas-Fort Worth, I've just got to try and get the dates right here. I think it's either the weekend of the 5th and 6th or 11th and 12th. So apologies if I get these mixed up. They've got a gaming convention there at Let's Play, and in Minneapolis on whichever the other weekend is, they've got a 2D Con event. And at both of these, you'll see the local community setting up PCs, running Star Citizen, showing off Star Citizen to those that are attending the convention. And that's fully off their own bat, and I think it's fantastic. I think it's fantastic that the passion and dedication to the project spills over in such a way that lets them share their enthusiasm for everything that's brilliant.
Speaking of streaming, by the way, last GamesCon, you had some sponsored live streams where we had some members from the streaming-based community going on during the event. Are we going to be seeing additions or changes to this entertainment format? And also, what other forms of entertainment can we expect during Gamescom this year?
Okay, so firstly on the streamers, last year we had 4 streamers that were invited to join us. They were flown out and put up at accommodation. They did it out of their own free time and they weren't paid for it. It was just fully voluntary. Great to see. So they were backers in the community who had some good talent at being on stream, and we really appreciated them joining us on our stream from Gamescom. We are considering doing the same again this year. Still wanting to confirm a few things before we go any further on that. But that was just a great way to show, again, the relationship between the team and the community. They were willing to give up their time and talent to help showcase the game at Gamescom.
For a whole week, that's a fair commitment.
Definitely.
Well, it is a commitment, but it's not unusual. The number of volunteers that step up and say, "Hey, look, I'm ready to be at Gamescom the whole week, whether you want me or not. I just want to take part, and I want to help Star Citizen show to the world as best as it can be." And actually, that's how I got into the project. So I backed back in 2013, and at 2014 in Gamescom, I was there and I was helping out on the booth and volunteering my time and skills as best I could, just to talk about the game to anyone that came up to the booth and help out at the eWork event. And I had an absolute blast. And since then, I went to every event that I could, and just helped it run better. And finally, Aaron and Sandy and Chris welcomed me on board to do this full time, among other things.
I'm glad they did, because you've done a great job so far, and I think these next couple of events are really going to showcase, most of your work. You'll be interested to see. The luxury I have is that a lot of the formats that were already in place were good, and so I only had to improve upon them.
but there was a clear understanding coming from the community that a lot of the time the community just needs a little nudge, just to give them the empowerment and let them show what they can do. I mean, just looking at the outpouring of volunteers, the volunteer team for CitizenCon, for example, I put a little post on the Spectrum forums, seeing if there was much interest. The interest was, of course, overwhelming. Those that are ready to say, hey, look, I'll be there for whatever you need me for whatever number of days you need me for. I just want to help. I want to help make the event run more smoothly. I want to give you all my skills and talent is absolutely fantastic. And it feels hard when you have to say, I'm sorry, the team's full. I haven't got room for your offer of help, but it's kind of wonderful at the same time that we're in that position.
So what type of activities does a volunteer do? I mean, what does a volunteer, your average Joe, do during one of these events?
Okay, the GamesCon and CitizenCon are a little bit different, so let me talk to GamesCon first. The volunteer team at GamesCon, they're in for quite a lot. They know it, but they absolutely love it. So a lot of them will turn up on the Sunday night leading into the week. If not, they'll be arriving on the Monday. Monday will see us setting up our show floor booth and B2B booth. That's the business to business, like the press side of what Gamescom is. We'll set up the booths. We'll do some tech tests, make sure everything's up and running. And that will lead us into Tuesday, which will be the first day. Although it's technically, I think it's not supposed to be fully open to the public on the Tuesday, but it kind of is anyway, because you've got thousands and thousands of exhibitors and everyone there, and they just come on force. Wednesdays, bigger and better. Thursdays, bigger and better, more of the same. And then on the Wednesday and Thursday nights, we'll be at local brew houses, meeting with the community. So the day starts early and finishes late. And Friday we gear up to the show at Glory Theatre. And all throughout this, the volunteers are doing a wide variety of roles. They are talking to backers and potential backers about the game, just answering as much as their knowledge will provide. They'll be like, what you get asked a lot at Gamescom is, oh, so can I fly a ship? Well, yes. Well, can I fly a ship with a friend? Yes. You can fly multi-cruise ships with your friends, or you can fly in a squadron of Hornets, or you can land on planets and then run around together, and just explaining all the things that you can do in the game to people that might not know much about it. There's, we need volunteers who will be happy handing out little tokens of merchandise to the crowds that come. They will help put things in place for the physical setting up, packing down, shifting and logistics. We need some of them just making sure that we all stay fed and watered. The list goes on, but together they're a great team. Like, you'll see some of them managing the ticket queues at Gloria Theatre. Just the process of making sure that everyone's got a ticket that attends, and that no one accidentally uses the same ticket twice. Those sorts of things. And all of this team of 22 volunteers that we have through the week of Gamescom. If you think about how much improved our presence at Gamescom is because of them, and how much how interrupted the development process could have been if we were to use CRG staff for all of these roles. So it's a great embellishment to our presence, and saving for the project as a whole. So it's fantastic on so many levels. CitizenCon,
wow.
It's more about getting in, setting up the show, and making it happen. It's more a discrete project, but it's by no means smaller.
That's impressive.
Unique challenges like that. By the way, are you still looking for volunteers for marketing? I'm sorry, volunteers in general for events?
For events all around the world, as events come up, I will generally put the feelers out. There is already a fairly strong team in both Europe and the United States. But for each event that comes up, I will do my best to incorporate some new blood, give people the opportunity to say, hey, I really want to take part, give me a go. So the team for CitizenCon is roughly half of the core crew from GamesCon and half people that haven't had the opportunity yet. So we've tried our best to reach out to the community and give them the opportunity to step up and take part.
Get some fresh blood in.
Yeah, and just make sure that people who really want to help out and take part at least get an opportunity at some point, or at least considered.
So what do you think some of the biggest challenges that you sort of face when you're organizing these type of events?
Most of the challenges for large-scale events come down to logistics, the ability to get everything you need where it needs to be in a timely fashion. And in its simplicity, that just comes down to planning. And if you've got time for planning, everything's fine. The challenges come when you are reliant on third-party contractors, and those contractors have subcontractors. And if those subcontractors are delayed, then your contractors are delayed, which means you're delayed. And so anyone who has done any large-scale events knows this to be an absolute truism. But it's important for, I guess, the community to understand that if ever there's a situation where we're unable to divulge information in a time frame that we would want to, I would say most of the time it's actually because we're relying on those updates and information coming from the subcontractors of contractors of people that we're trying to work with to put this massive project together. So that would be the greatest challenge.
And that's not a new challenge for CIG over the years. They've been getting better at it.
It's not a new challenge for any company or anyone setting up an event or any project that ties in a lot of people together. It's just worth mentioning. And the flip side, I'd say the second greatest challenge, and it's something that I hold very true and dear to me, and it's a tenet of how I do everything that I do with CIG, is the balance between wanting to give the most information and the best product and interaction to the community as possible, whilst ensuring that the interruption to the workflow of the development team is minimized. So at all times, in everything I do, there's that balance between, it would be great to get this information or to show this off to the community or to have this opportunity for these things to happen, balanced with, but they're really, really busy and I just want to leave them alone for this week and let them do these great things. And so there's, I'm just nicely in between those.
So what would you think is the most rewarding aspect of running these events for yourself?
Oh, it's just so much fun. I personally, I've spent most of my life trying to figure out how to bring two of my passions together. One is food and the other is computer games. And so working in restaurants, hotels, and resorts, I've eaten very, very well for many decades. And having the money to play computer games to my heart's content, so it's been great. Working now with a computer games company, running their events, which involve food and parties and all these wonderful things that I also enjoy, I think is the ultimate culmination of that. And I think it sums it up fairly well that I was taking my holidays from work previous to joining CIG. I was taking my holidays from work to go volunteer at the events, because it was for me that was a holiday. That was so much fun. Now I get to do this full time. I'm loving it.
You're living the dream there.
So yeah, the job itself for me is fantastically rewarding, and seeing all the amazing tech that the team are creating and bringing online, things that you're going to see later this year, which I can't tell you about, just rock my world. Yeah.
Okay, well, at these events, last time at CitizenCon, there was a big impressive ship saved for that event. Are we expecting something like that?
I think you should always expect big impressive ships. I think expecting anything less is letting yourself down. So if I broke that down into a series of questions that I would be able to answer as best I can. Firstly, is CIG doing events? Yes. Are we making big impressive ships? Yes. Are we going to release these in a timely fashion that best suits the project and the flow of things? Yes. Can I say more? No.
I'll take that as an indefinite triple yes then.
Yeah, you got to pick the right question there, though. Yeah.
Okay, so finally,
I would be surprised if we don't do everything we can to bring all the ships that make sense to the flow of the project online in a timely fashion. So let's get as many as we can into 3.0 and work on things after that.
I think we're actually producing more ships out of your pipeline and getting them flight ready than you're putting out concepts these days. So the trend is reversing. It's good to see.
Luke Davis and the team who do the ships, they've got such a great pipeline there, and all the teams know their part and they do it, and it works beautifully.
They look amazing.
Okay, and wrapping this up, one last final question. What type of role overlap does your job have with like PR, public relations, and marketing for Star Citizen?
That's a good question, and I suppose by answering it, I'll give you a little bit more insight into what my day's like. I'm part of the team that is some of the more forward-facing, community engaged team, but those roles extend throughout the player relations team, otherwise known as the customer services team, through roles that people would traditionally consider marketing, the teams that help put out the newsletter and create media content. So I'm involved with all of these teams to some degree, and that can and partly because events bring all these teams together. There's a requirement at GamesCon for videos to show social media presence. There's a requirement for engagement with the community and publicizing this. So all the time throughout everything that I do, I have workings with all of these teams, and when events aren't paramount, when I'm not fully geared up for Gamescom and CitizenCon, I'll take a larger role in taking some of the workload for these teams. I don't know what else to say past that.
Sounds like you're wearing many different hats.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Need a bigger hat rack. Well, definitely thank you for coming on to our show.
It's been a pleasure.
And everyone, thank you guys for watching. Definitely hope you enjoyed this episode. We love to see comments, and we try to answer them all in a timely fashion ourselves.
Yes, we read all comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always. We'll
catch
you
around.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.